Thank you for tuning in to Business and Beyond. We're back to our regular programming, initially with a discussion of the key and emerging sectors that are expected to fuel the growth of Philippine export performance in the coming months and years.
Further, recognizing the micro, small, and medium enterprises or MSMEs as the engine of the economy, we have dedicated a segment to feature success and inspiring stories of MSMEs to serve as models and benchmarks.
This comes next after major business news from last week.
The Climate Change Commission (CCC) clarified that the Philippines does not have to immediately commit to the Paris Agreement on climate change to cut the country's greenhouse gas (GHG) emissions by 70%. Commissioner Francis Veronica Victorio, in a presentation at the Business Summit on Climate Change last week, said the basis for this is Article 4 of the Accord. The provision states that measures to reduce GHG emissions may be balanced with the national objectives of economic growth and poverty alleviation. She added that while Article 4 exhorts member countries to lower their gas emissions as soon as possible, it also recognizes that peaking will take longer for developing country parties and understands the need for a balance between reaching the long-term temperature goal and achieving sustainable development and poverty reduction. Saying this is good news for the business sector, in particular, Victoria explained that the provision means developing countries like the Philippines do not have to reduce emissions right now. We are still allowed to grow our emissions for a little while and then reduce it. So these are things really for consideration, especially because the Philippines is still developing, she continued. Stressing that the policies and laws protecting the rights of workers are many and in place already, the umbrella organization of Philippine exporters urged their property implementation as a way to ensure workers' right to security of tenure. The Philippine Exporters Confederation Incorporation, or PHILEXPORT, with over 4,000 micro, small, and medium enterprises (MSMEs) members nationwide, categorically supports the termination of such practices that are contrary to the provisions of Presidential Decree No. 442 or the Labor Code of the Philippines. The fact is, exporters have always tried to be compliant with labor laws, mainly because foreign buyers would not allow us to do otherwise, or we lose orders. But there is one important factor that governs the hiring policies of many of us. I refer to the seasonality of demand and supply that challenges our viability, it added. Under these circumstances, PhilExport is opposed to the prohibition on contracting, as this is an exercise of management prerogative. It said this is stipulated by the Article 6 of the Labor Code and premised on the constitutional rights of employers on freedom to contract. Outsourcing is a legitimate activity globally. So long as management exercise this right in good faith, it said, the jobs that government wants to keep may be the same jobs that we will lose if we do not balance the interests of all stakeholders involved, it said.
Exports account for about 30% of the country's gross domestic product. It is dominated by micro, small, and medium enterprises that employ about 60% of our people. But the global slump in the last 1.5 years has caused the decline in our export performance and the reduction of our export margins. To look at the picture, the medium and the long-term picture, and how we are going forward, we are pleased and honored to have with us two of the officials from the Department of Trade and Industry who have direct influence on our export performance. Please welcome the Undersecretary for Industry Development Group and the BOI Managing Head and the Executive Director of the Export Development Council and the Export Marketing Bureau. Please welcome Dr. Seferino Rodolfo and Director Senen Fernanda. We have broken that losing streak. Do you think this is the start of the recovery?
Well, I'd like to think and be very hopeful that this is really the start of a recovery. Our exports of services still remain robust. But for the entire year, I think it is already a given that we will have at most a flat growth for total exports in 2016.
We've signed 7 FTAs already, 1 bilateral, I think 6 with ASEAN. How can FTAs help here?
Kasi kung titignan mo, pagka meron kang FTA, mas may preference ka. Ibig sabihin, yung taripa ng mga produkto mo na pumapasok dun sa iyong merkado, mas mababa. Imagine mo mangyayari kung yung halimbawa mga produkto natin galing sa Pilipinas, pumapasok dito sa mga markets na to, na mas mataas yung taripa nila kaysa sa mga kalaban natin. So dalawang bagay yan, no? We have to make sure that our exports are not competitively excluded in these markets. Tapos pangalawa, we have to make sure that promotive. No, yung isa ay parang defensive mechanism, yung isa offensive mechanism din. Ngayon sabihin natin mga 60 to 70% ng exports natin meron ng FTA cover. Tapos wala na lang FTA cover mga 30%.
Sir, but this is consumption going down. So paano papasok yung lower tariffs?
Pero kasi may demand pa rin doon sa mga bansang yun. Ngayon lang nga, nag-aagawan kayo yung mga kalaban yung mga exporters din going to those markets.
Okay.
So kahit na pababa yung consumption nila, meron pa rin silang demand. Tapos pumapasok tayo doon sa mga bansang yun.
The Philippine Export Development Plan has identified key and emerging sectors.
Yes, that's right. No?
Yes.
Yung mga key export sectors natin have been selected. One, because of the significant share that they have in total exports, particularly in 2014 when their exports were over 1 billion and above. No? Then second, these are sectors which will, if they falter, will affect our employment that much. No?
So just on that, ano na yung mga 1 billion na sectors natin?
Well, you're looking at processed food and beverages, electronics, halimbawa, motor vehicle parts, chemicals, and then dalawa doon ay services, yung tinatawag nating other business services and computer-related services. You read that basically as IT BPM.
But yung FTAs, while we have lowered the tariffs, Undersecretary, ang daming non-tariff measures. In fact, yun naman ang iniiyak ng mga exporters ngayon.
Sa mga FTA natin mismo, may mga mekanismo para ma-address itong mga non-tariff barriers. Tandaan mo, non-tariff measures, pwede yan.
Pwede,
Legal yan.
right.
Non-tariff barriers, yun yung masama. Kung
So yun
talaga-
ang ina-address natin.
Yun yung ina-address natin. And this can be in terms of halimbawa, napaka-unfair na ng mga standards, napaka-unreasonable ng mga processing time. Yan yung mga tinitignan natin.
We know China, but yung Russia,
Russia has been there. So it's not the case where parang bigla na lang tayo so-called pivot. It's not really a pivot. I think the fairer way to state it is a rebalancing. We're really looking at Russia as a diversification tactic
Which
as
is
of now.
good.
Which is good for us because then we do not have to rely on the usual markets that we have because we really have to be able to diversify both products and markets. No?
Meron tayong mahalagang usapan din between government to government. Pinirmahan natin yung Joint Committee on Economic and Trade Cooperation last year, tapos ni-ratify yan ni Presidente Duterte ngayon. Magsisimula na yung usapan natin dyan by early part of next year.
what do you feel about the Trump presidency?
So tingin ko lang talaga sa kanya. Titingnan niya kung ano talaga ang magiging pakinabang ng Amerika at syempre hindi naman kakalimutan kung ano magiging pakinabang ng kanyang mga trading partner. Palagay ko makikita niya talaga base sa mga datos, it makes sense for them to really look at Asia because this is the Asian century and it will be foolish for the United States not to pay attention to this area.
Magandang magnegosyo sa Pilipinas. Malaki ang ating market. We are the fastest growing economy in the fastest growing region in the world. So walang makakapantay sa atin doon. So mga negosyante, hindi sila nandito dahil sa awa, lalong hindi dahil sa political affiliation.
This week, in fact, is National Exporters Week. Would you like to talk a little bit about that and invite them?
Marami po tayong mga aktibidades na mangyayari itong National Exporters Week. Ang highlight po niyan is the National Export Congress which will be held at the PTTC, Philippine Trade Training Center po. But apart from the National Export Congress, marami po tayong mga side events nangyayari, hindi lang po, not only here in Metro Manila, but also in the regions and provinces. No? Among others, for example, we will have yung Tubong Pinoy. This will be December 5 to 11 at the Glorieta Activity Center. We have a dialogue, Usapang Exports with the exporting community, December 5 to 7 at the DTI International Building. And then we will also have the what we call the OTOP Tindahang Pinoy exhibits that will be located at the DTI main office. Meron po tayong commodity exhibits, meron po tayong exporter awards, meron po tayong networking session with the Foreign Trade Service Corps that will be home for that period. We will have a very special halal pavilion. So we're really very positive on the National Exporters Week. Again, as you said, sana po itong nangyari noong September ay masundan pa dito sa mga susunod na buwan na mga positive growth na po tayo. Kahit paano, medyo umaangat na tayo at above water for merchandise exports.
Gusto ko lang sabihin sa ating mga manonood, so magtulong-tulungan mo tayo para talagang may taguyod natin ang pagunlad ng bansa at higit sa lahat ko, maiangat din natin yung mga kababayan natin na nasa MSMEs at mga walang trabaho para sabay-sabay tayong iaangat ng ating pagunlad.
Okay, now I feel much better. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you,
And
Lisa.
see you around.
Thank you.
Business and Beyond will be back. We now talk about the sector labeled as Achiever under the Philippine Export Development Plan. Information technology and products and services is one of the promising emerging products under the PEDP. Let us now talk with the President and CEO of one of its major players, CAI STA Philippines Inc., an IT solutions provider and the trustee for the PhilExport sector of the information technology products and services to talk about the prospects and challenges of the industry. Please welcome Dr. Emma V. Chodoro. How do we define the sector of ITPS?
The sector itself is composed of several subsectors. For example, you have the services for provision of IT solutions, you have consulting, you also have development of IT products, mga software packages na ibinebenta dyan. IT itself is an enabler for different sectors. So they can grow their businesses using IT. And it cuts across so many sectors.
How do we define ourselves or position ourselves in the global and domestic market?
Actually, in terms of the services sector, our export is being compensated by the services sector export, and it's really a huge export. And mostly our sector, the export is in the BPO. Our IT part is a smaller portion of that export.
Now, what trends, future trends, or recent trends in other technologies should companies and industry players be aware of, ma'am?
There are a lot of opportunities in IT. It's a big part of our government now, the private sector, similarly. Digital marketing, for example, is very important. And then on the use of technology, the trend is for chief information officers who are the ones dictating the direction of the use of ICT in an organization. Going to make you meet the goals of your company. If it's only for technology itself, it will not do that. It has to be with respect to the goals of the company. So that is what you should try to achieve when you use technology.
The Department of ICT has just been created. What does that mean for the industry, for the consumers, and for companies like yours?
Now with the Department of ICT, there will be a focused effort. They will have a roadmap, they will have a target, and so on and so forth. No? So it's going to be a big thing for us.
Can you talk about the roadmap a bit?
IT BPM Roadmap 2022 is actually set to give a direction on how we will move the industry. And this has been presented during the IT BPM Summit last October 28th.
Where do you see the industry heading in the short term, the medium term, and the long term?
We're still growing, and I think it will grow more with more projects coming from the government. So there's going to be a bigger activity in the industry.
Is there a specific line or field that you'd like the graduates to go into?
What I have seen is that many of them are interested, of course, in multimedia arts. Of course, what we need also is serious computing for business and even business courses, as long as they take the other skills needed, like developing software, etc.
Any message to the government, ma'am? Any assistance you need so that you continue to grow and be competitive?
Well, we should continue on encouraging our young people to go into this field, and of course, in terms of support in training, which is very important, I think we're in the right track.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am,
Thank you.
for being with us. Business and Beyond will be back. We're here at Elga's Bake Shop in Tacloban City. Ito po yung unang naka-recover after Typhoon Yolanda hit in 2013. And we'd like to hear that beautiful, inspiring story from the owners of the bake shop themselves, Mr. Neil and Miss Sharon Elgin Kamenford. I know that was a tragic experience, traumatic.
At the time na nag-hit dito sa Tacloban yung Yolanda, we were so focused with our babies. But on the next day, nakita namin yung bakery namin was totally damaged.
So lahat po ito na wash out.
Yes. Actually, before it used to be half the size, but then after Yolanda, nung nag-decide kami to renovate, we made it more greater.
Actually, after the typhoon, we have to move to Cebu because yun nga, meron kaming babies trying to figure out how to revive the business or probably sa Cebu na lang. But then, good thing, our insurance agent called out, and then we've learned that also the government through the SBC,
SB Corporation.
yeah, PTI and Small Business Corporation are assisting Yolanda victims establishment. So I can still remember because when we're out of the market and some other bakeries in the overall market, bakeries or the breads that are being supplied in the locality are coming from outside, and it's really priced very high. Kawawa yung mga tao doon, ang mahal-mahal ng prices ng
Yeah, so triple the price.
At some point we have to come back, and if we can restore the place, it's also our contribution to the restoration of the city.
Sige, is there any message that you'd like to share, especially sa mga small and medium enterprises like you who were devastated one way or another by natural and man-made galang?
Look for opportunities na makatulong yung government sa atin. um, there are programs na maka-help sa finances, to finance our business. Kailangan lang talaga yung ikaw yung aggressive tayo na maghanap ng source. Yeah.
You just have to have faith and push yourself. Continue to aspire to be better, to be bigger.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And God bless.
Thank you.
Business and Beyond will be back.
What does the Philippine Goldman Technological Institute, a non-stock, non-profit organization and deputy head of mission of Swiss Embassy, Mr. Raul Imbak, have in common? Well, let's find out.
Before, it's just only a dream. When I was studying back in college, meron akong mga classmates na nahinto sa pag-aaral kasi mahihirap sila. And my sister and I decided to create this school for out-of-school youth. Una, kami muna yung mga teachers. Turuan natin sila. And nagkaroon ng Philippine Goldman Technological School ngayong mga panahon na to. Ang una-una itinuturo namin dito is good moral and right conduct ng mga kabataan, which is very important sa bawat nilalang or sa bawat human na magkaroon ng ganong klaseng attitude or moralidad or values. Hanggang sa dumami ng dumami, tinulungan namin, pinag-aral namin ng libre. If this is the best way para makatulong sa kanila, why not do that? So set aside yung interest. Ini-invite po namin ng lahat ng kabataan na samahan po kami sa gagawin naming event sa December 19. The upcoming event is the Concert for a Cause, which is the collaboration of Raul and the Wild Tortillas. The beneficiaries of this event will be the students na pumapasok sa school namin.
And did you know that it's more fun in the Philippines?
Born singing, I think. So whenever I was somewhere, I had to sing. It was something I had to do. And my father one day put me on the table in the middle of the audience and said, okay, start singing. And so I did. And since that day, I've been on stage. I tried to compose when I was about 17, 18. I thought it was a disaster. So I gave it, I put it in a closet. And it only came much later when I was about 35. And then I composed a song that up to this day, I think it's my greatest song. It's called Too Young. It's a song about my daughter. You are the love that will always stay, a part of me that can be swept away. And in my dream, you will always be the little girl who once was hugging me. So this is World First. It's an album who actually contains, instead of a CD, contains a USB card where you have not only the songs, but you have all my video clip that goes with the album. You have also karaoke type things that you can sing along. We have there an interactive web page. So I've done 11 albums in my life. This is the first one that I do as such, and this is for the Philippines.
I wanted to represent the Philippines on the cover, and then when I started to think about that, it would have been very easy to have Boracay or 100 Islands or something like that. So I wanted to have something a bit more subtle. So I found this bridge in Bohol, and I just saw the image and I thought that would really work perfectly. The journey, joining the cultures of Switzerland and the Philippines.
It's more fun in the Philippines.
I always consider my music as something that I can share with people, and if I make something out of it, I can also share it. Because for me, the joy is to really be on stage and to be able to share my music. So I decided that all the proceeds of this album will go for charities. The funny thing, I sold my first 100 album in Vietnam, not here. Because I'm still a bit known in Vietnam. All in one word, thesingingdevert.com, and there you find all the data you need. If you want the real album like this, if you just want to download it, then you can go to iTunes, you can go to Spotify, you will find all the things.
And it's bumper to bumper.
I think this idea of getting kids out of the street is a wonderful idea. Since I personally try to help also in my humble little way, I'm very happy to be joining you in my capacity, not as Deputy Head of Mission of the Swiss Embassy, but as my capacity as a singer-entertainer.
And we are very happy to see you there, and we are very happy that you are going to help us for this concert
Concert for a Cause on December 19 at Quezon City Memorial Theater. At maaari po kayong makakuha ng ticket mismo doon po sa aming training school sa may Philippine Goldman Technological School located in Central Avenue, Quezon City po. You may contact our telephone number 283-2875 or 736-9221. Please also like our Facebook po, Philippine Goldman Technological Institute. We will see you all there po.
It's more fun in the Philippines.
If you're into good music, this is the album for you. Written and sung by Mr. Raul Imbak, the singing ambassador. If you want to know more about his music and advocacy, please drop by QC Memorial Circle on December 19. Hope to see you there!
This week's episode. We hope that you've gained important insights, lessons, and information that will help you in your business.
We'll see you again next week for more business news and insights. Please visit our social media accounts to share your comments, views, and suggestions. Always remember, connections matter here at Business and Beyond.
And it's more fun in the Philippines. Oh, it's more fun in the Philippines. Oh, don't you know? And it's bumper to bumper for an hour. On it's how we only move meter by meter.